All right, good. Welcome everyone. Uh, Great to be back. Last week we did financing college, and this week we're going to be talking about comparing schools and cost. And I am Lori Williams with Unitas Community Credit Union, and I am the financial education officer. And this is one of my favorite things to do. So let's take this hour and hopefully you'll get some great nuggets from it. All right, Wing, let's go to the first slide. How do you plan to choose the right school for you? So this is a really great question. I'll just give you a great story from my personal experience. When my girls were in junior high, I just remember that my oldest daughter consistently said that she was going to go to U of O and she was going to be a Duck. College, they were doing absolutely excellent in college football. So being a Oregonian, that was just a really big thing. Fast forward to her senior year in high school, the reality of really what goes into choosing the college and the cost of college and comparing the colleges for her future after college really shifted that. So this is why we're doing this class today. All right, let's go next, Wing. All right, so are you going to choose college because for the mascot, like I shared with you, that was a big thing with the Oregon Ducks when my girls were in junior high. And I saw that quite often with many of that age group. All right, next. Are you going to choose your college for the location? Next. Are you going to choose the college to move away? And one more. And again, we've got those mascots. So these are all huge decisions that some students will make. In these particular, if you are someone that's going to go back to college and you are not just leaving high school, it's much different. So these again are some really big things that you'll hear a lot of young people talk about that will help make their decisions. Next. All right, so this is what we're going to do today. We're going to research the average salaries based on education and specific career aspirations. We're going to learn the total cost of school and the difference between sticker price and net price. And we're going to compare total post-secondary expenses versus out of school annual salary and calculating the return on investment. What's really nice is that we did talk about some things last week on the financing college. And if you missed that, just go ahead and go to the Facebook page and you can watch it. All right, next, Wing. All right, how much money will you make annually once you've settled into your career? And this is a really important question, because if you are aware that you are going to have to take 4 years of higher education to get to that next level, you really want to see what the cost of the next 4 years is going to be. And what is the first year's worth of salary that you are going to have. Next. So here's a really great slide. This is regarding the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this is a graph, and if you like, you can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and get a lot of great information. But this graph really shows different salaries based off of different levels of education. It also reflects unemployment. Now, this graph is a little bit older. This goes back to about 2011, and I was going to update it, but right now with the COVID-19, especially with the last year, it really could not give me truer numbers. So I think this is just a really great example. But if you look at the beginning of the slide, the first example is less than a high school diploma. And it shows that the average earnings was about $29,848. If you go below that in the green, you'll see that less than a high school diploma, you will see a 14.1% in the unemployment rate. And I think that this graph, even though this graph is showing numbers from 2011, I do believe that after this year, the graphs that we will see will be really informative. If you go further down to midway, there is Occupational Program Career School. So on the Occupational Program Career School, this has income at about $49,920. And you'll see that on the unemployment rates, that's about a 6.6%. So when we look at the occupational program career, this would be something and considered as far as trades. If there is a specific career that you are looking at, oftentimes they will have an occupational program where instead of going to the community college or the 4 years of community college and then going for your bachelor's degree, where you can go to these occupational program career schools for maybe 2 years. And that would be maybe an ultrasound technologist. So for 2 years, basically what they're doing is they're giving you the education, or maybe 18 months. They are a much faster program. And unlike a community college or a state college, they just don't have where you're getting out the certain amount of English classes that you have to have, or a certain amount of math. These occupational program career schools are specifically for that program, the skills that you will need for that program. And again, if you're going into the trades, that's a whole nother conversation. But with the trades, that would be something where you start working, you are paid while you're learning. You start at a higher wage as you work through a certain amount of hours. Then you take a certain amount of education. At some points, they might have you take 2 weeks where it's all training, and then you go back so that you can use your training live and be paid. And you'll see that this has a lower percentage on the employment because trades are so crucial, and many of these occupational programs. If you go a little bit further, you'll see that with a master's degree, that the average earnings is about $84,448, and the average unemployment rate is about 3.6%. So this graph really does go into play, showing you some different educational paths that you might want to take. And again, I really wanted to address the occupational program because there are so many of them right now. And that also includes the trades. Many of the high schools offer for those high school students these type of programs. And I touched bases on that last week when we did the financing college. So please just remember, if you have a child or you are a student, these are options available for you. And your career counselors are really helpful within the high school. College Possible is a really great program that the high schools have. You can sign up for after school. You make a commitment and they'll help you along this journey. And again, the trades are phenomenal. They'll start your junior. You get to choose to take these classes starting your junior year. So if you think you want to go into the medical field, look and see if your high school has programs for that. If you think that you want to go into construction or manufacturing, check in with your school. And if you start taking these classes, that is the training that you will need. So once you graduate from high school, that you can pursue into the trades or, going to the college or the occupational career schools. Okay, next. What about your specific career? So this is a really important, this is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. You want to make sure that when you're looking at the career that you want to pursue, that you have an idea of what is the salary. Is it salary? What's really great about this slide right here is you will see that it reflects the United States, so that you can go in and you can hit the state that you want to work in, and you can see what the salary is that they pay in that state for that career. Every state is very different because the cost of living is also very different. So you got to review the salaries, and you can choose the state. Something that's really nice that we're really going to use is we're going to use the salary of a social worker in the state of Oregon. So this is an example that we have in the right upper corner of the slide, and it will show you the hourly wage and the annual percentage. Also on this slide, in the very bottom corner, you're going to see some nice bright yellow, and that has the link to where you can go to look this up, www.bls.gov. And then from there, you can go ahead and pick where you want to go. Look in the subjects, the occupational employment statistics. Next. Comparison shopping college scorecard. This is one of my favorite things to go over. So these resources all come from the U.S. Department of Education. And if you go to collegecost.ed.gov, this will take you into a platform that's going to allow you to really get a lot more information. So here's a couple different things. And remember, it's the U.S. Department of Education. They have all these resources, but this is how you do some comparison shopping. You have one chart that you're going to be able to check for that shows the graduation rates, the loan default rates, employment after college, the cost of that particular college. And then it also gives you an opportunity to see what the median borrowing, what are the general population borrowing to pursue these type of careers. Everyone is going to have a very different journey. Every individual has very different circumstances. So I also want you to know that it's great that we have these graphs, but everyone has a very different individual journey. Next. Comparison shopping terminology. This is a great one. So what's really nice about this is oftentimes, especially for me, when I'm talking about these different programs, is I will say your bachelor's degree. So a bachelor's degree is most commonly, if you stay on target, when you have attended college for 4 years and taken the credits needed. An associate's degree is when you have pursued and taken the amount of credits that you need for 2 years. Community college, absolutely phenomenal if you want to get your associate's degree. It costs less than a state university. And then you can take those credits and transfer them to the state college. So credits is another word. Credits are the classes that you are taking. And that's really where the cost of college comes in, is that once you know the career that you want to pursue, there are classes that you will have to take, and you will have to take those classes. They have a certain amount of credits, and you pay for those credits. The credits will total how many you need for your graduation in that field. So again, an associate's degree is if you choose, or if you see a career that you only have to have an associate's degree, the community college is absolutely fabulous. And this is why we're talking about comparisons. If you look at what the cost of a community college is compared to a state university, in most cases, you will see that that community college is a lot less. And I use the word most cases because, again, everyone has a very different individual journey. We are all in different places. So when it comes to scholarships, grants, financial aid, we are all very independent on that. But I just really wanted to keep that. If you continue with your education after you do your 4-year degree, then you would be looking at what we call a master's degree. And in most cases, the higher education that you have, in most cases, the more income should come with that for the knowledge. But you really want to make sure that that's where you're checking on the Bureau of Labor for those statistics, so that you can see what those salaries are going to be when you finish schooling for that. Next. All right, comparison shopping, College Navigator. This is absolutely a great, and this, again, you can find this on the U.S. Department of Education. This is available at collegenavigator.ed.gov. I love this. This is a really great resource. So when we talked about financing college, one of the main key areas that I shared was apply for more than one college. If you have a youth or student that is really set on a certain university or route, just make sure that they're checking their other opportunities. And the reason is because the cost is very different. The aid is very different. The scholarships and the grants are very different. And this is what's so nice about this College Navigator, is that you can go into this platform. And again, what's really nice is if you want a different language, you can click that and you can build a list of schools. You can take the list of schools that you have and it will give you the tuitions for each school so that you can actually compare them. That's what I love about this site. There's so many fabulous things that are in place now and so many tools and resources. You'll also see that just even on our slide that is included is that to the left, it lets you know, does this only allow a 2-year degree, a 4-year degree? And again, the degree with 4 years would be a bachelor's, the 2-year would be an associate. Something else that you really want to check when you are comparison shopping is if your route is going to be to start off at a community college, you want to make sure that those credits are going to transfer to the continued college that you choose after 2 years. And I would highly suggest that for anyone that's attending high school right now. Make sure that the classes that you're taking, especially if you're taking advanced college courses, which again is just such a great gift that they have that in high school, but you want to make sure that those credits are going to transfer to the college that you want to go to. For those of us that live in Oregon, if you attend a high school around here and you're taking these advanced classes that will give you college credits, but you want to attend a university in New York, you just want to make sure that those transfer. If you're going to go to a career school or you're going to go into the trades, really what's going to come in helpful is your high school transcript. That will be a little bit different for you. What will be really great is if you've taken courses like construction, David Douglas High School, I know, is one that has construction. That will be really great because you can put that on your resume as you go into the trades, as well as they can see that you took those courses. All right, let's go to the next slide. Budgeting and borrowing on the net price calculator. So this also is one of the choices that you have. And the source, again, is the U.S. Department of Education. And this is available at collegecost.ed.gov/net price center. So this is really great. This is your calculator so that you can budget and borrow. So what you will be doing in this is when we talked about the financing college, I talked about award letters. Award letters are what students get in the spring. October 1st is when you can start applying for FAFSA. And again, that is free application for student aid. But October 1st, senior year, is when the students in high school will start applying. In the spring, between March and May, award letters will start coming. And these award letters are the letters saying, thank you for applying. We would love to have you attend our college, our university, community college. And then what that is it does the breakdown. It lets them know this is the cost of our school. Then it will reflect, here is what you have in grant money. Here's what you have in scholarship money that we can see at this time. And they will subtract that from the total cost of tuition to go to that school. And then that will be the net price. That will be, if you are a family that can contribute, that will show you what the family contribution is, or that's where it will reflect if you are going to have to take loans out, which will be your financial aid. Something else that's really helpful with the net price calculator is that if you are attending a university and you are going to apply for RA, which is a residence aid. So that's someone that lives in the dorms. They can't do this their freshman year, but they live in the dorms, and they are paid. It's a job on campus, but they are paid from the school. So that's also goes into this net price. If you are going to a state university or you're going to attend a community college, this is also where you have great opportunities to apply for work study. And work study, again, you will get paid, but it is through the school. And the school will show you on that how much you will get in work study funds, and they will reduce that from the net price calculator. So this is a really phenomenal tool, and it helps you plug everything in, and then it just gives you one piece of paper to look at it so that you can compare 5 different universities. And in these type of situations, this is where you may want to look at if you've applied at a community college. I live out in the Gresham area, so Mount Hood Community College is the closest for us. So I have one daughter that is attending school there for 2 years to get her associates. She was unsure what field she wanted to go into, like so many other. And so that really was the best bet for her dollar. We really want to maximize the experience. We don't want to maximize the dollar. So she's attending Mount Hood, and she's almost completed 1 full year. And now she's really seeing that there's a couple areas that she thinks that she wants to pursue going into next year. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, so net price calculator. So here's a really great slide, and this shows financial aid and scholarships. So on the net price calculator, again, this is why you may want to apply for several, I can't say that enough, but apply for several colleges, 3 to 5, just so that you can see the difference. And again, because we are all very different individuals and our journey will be very different, it's not until you submit your FAFSA, which again is your free application for student aid, that's where each university will take a look at your individual profile to see what they can offer you individually. That's just one extra little thing. Each university is going to have a little bit different personal financial aid and or scholarship for each of us as individuals. So again, the net price calculator is to guide and assist in early financial planning for college. So this calculator is going to help provide a preliminary estimate of your federal, state, and the institution aid that is eligible. So make sure that you use this. This is the best tool that you really have access to. And again, the U.S. Department of Education, they have this calculator as well. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here's a sticker price versus net price for 3 colleges. So this is really what the calculator looks like. So you'll see great website, www.collegesimply.com. And this is going to really help you compare the sticker price to the net price. The sticker price is really going to be something that if you haven't applied for, if you don't apply for the free application for student aid, and you don't need any scholarships and you don't need any grant, then here is your sticker price. This is how much it costs to go to this community college or this university. The net price is after they are able to reduce your grant money, your scholarships. And remember, your grant and scholarship funds, you do not have to pay those back. It's the student loans that you take out that you will be repaying on. That will be the debt that you're taking out. So I can't stress enough that for the scholarships, that's like a full-time job. And you won't know what any of your opportunities are if you don't apply for your FAFSA, which is free application for student aid, October 1st. Okay, so here's a really good example that when you plug into www.collegesimply.com, you've got your sticker price and net price. On the sticker price, it's going to reflect that if you are a resident of the state of Oregon, and if you are also someone that lives outside of the state of Oregon and you want to go to the University of Oregon. So the top line, tuition, books and supplies, other fees, room and board, other expenses. So this is how they will take it. Your room and board, if you are a freshman, it's just a mandatory that they have you live in the dorms, and the dorms will include housing as well as food. Your books and supplies, they're going to give you a general idea of what that dollar is. These are just estimates. Definitely the tuition is there. So on this slide, if you are you are a resident in the state of Oregon, it would be about $26,862 for one school year. If you're an out-of-state resident, it's about $49,000. And that again covers tuition, books and supplies, other fees, room and board, and other expenses. They always have extra things. For instance, they may put something in if you have to take the bus. If you have a car, they're just going to put that, they're putting a budget together for you, is really what this is, just a small budget. Then if you look at the net price is reflecting if you have any scholarships, if you have any grant money. So this is where they will take your sticker price with your tuition, books and supplies, other fees, room and board, other expenses, and then they're going to start subtracting what scholarships you have, what grants, anything that you were able to receive from the university. And you will see that those numbers can equal up to about $15,000. And again, every individual is very different, so those numbers will change, but that is where you will see the difference. The net price is the bottom line when it's all said and done. All right, next slide. Sticker price versus net price for 3 colleges. So here is the full breakdown after you have used your calculator. Excuse me. This is going to give you the cost of going to school. So we've got Portland Community College, we've got U of O, and I'm going to just say that the third one is Western Oregon, which is more of a private school. So the sticker price, I'm just going to go ahead and say these out loud, for Portland Community College is $21,000. The net price is going to be $8,541. And that difference is about $12,000. So this is saying that in this particular example, someone that had applied for their FAFSA and applied to go to Portland Community College. If they choose to go to PCC, their cost will be $8,541. And this is just for the specific course that they've chosen. At the U of O, which is the middle, this sticker price was $26,862. The net price is going to be about $15,000. And so that difference was about 11. That university cost more money. So this is a really good example of if you are able to go to a community college for 2 years and then transfer to the university, you can see that there's a big savings here. So the net price again is $15,100, and the difference between that sticker and net price is about $11,000. And again, this would be that $11,000 is the difference between the federal grant and scholarships. So then you've got, we're going to say this is Western Oregon, which is a private college. Private colleges tend to cost more money. And that's when we were talking about last week in the Financing College that private loans are also very different. Sometimes you can get more money from private colleges. Again, it's a very individual journey and each application is very different. And that's why it's really important to submit those. So the sticker price for a private college is about $62,000. The net cost would be about $33,000. So there's a really good example of someone that applied for 3 different colleges, and you will see that they really range quite drastically. And the net cost is what it's going to cost to go to school. So if I was going to start school in the fall, I would know that if I want to choose PCC, that's going to be $8,541. You know, the University of Oregon, that would be about $15,000. If I'm someone that's going to need to go to school for 4 years, you want to look at that net price just to give you an estimate. And the reason I say just to give you an estimate is because every year when you start attending your higher education, you have the opportunity every October to apply for your FAFSA. So every October, you want to go ahead and reapply for your free application for student aid. And every year, your financial circumstances are going to change. Everything will change. And that's why you want to submit every year. Sometimes I think that people might get discouraged because they may think that they don't make enough money or the family unit doesn't make enough money. And that's why you want to apply for that free application for student aid, because again, each household is different. Each individual is different. All right, let's go to the next slide. Calculating the return of investment. So this is really important. We started out this presentation with looking at the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And the reason that we did that is because we really want to share with you how important it is that you know for the career that you are choosing, what is the income? What is that first year salary? What does that look like for you so that you can look at the cost of your education? That is also going to be really important when you're choosing the schools that you go to. You know, something that's really important, if you've never had any debt, if you've never had loans that you've really had to pay on, this is going to be a new adventure for you. And it's going to be part of life. And it's going to be really important that you understand the loans that you take out. So after scholarships and grants, that's when we know if we have to take those loans out. You want to understand those loans. You want to understand how that's going to affect your future life. How much are you going to have to pay on those student loans? So that when you go back and you compare, for example, the Portland Community College, U of O, and Western Oregon, you want to make sure that you're comparing those net prices for your future life when you're done with college. Okay, so here's just a really good example. That return of investment, they're saying that the net price for 1 year at the University of Oregon is about $15,100. And the net price, 4 years, this is not including increasing tuition. Again, this is just an estimate, is about $60,400. So we're just going to say that it kind of stays on the same track. A career as a social worker in Oregon, your starting salary may be about $35,310. The median salary could be about $63,000. So this is just an example. And in social work, there's a lot of different fields in that fall under that. But these are some really good examples of, here's your starting salary. And you're also seeing that the net price of 4 years of schooling at the University of Oregon can be about $60,400. So that's a lot of money. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here's your ROI, which stands for return investment, return of investment, rule of thumb. You want to make sure that whatever your first year of salary is more than what your total debt of your education is. Now, again, these are estimates. And when you do look at your first year of salary, again, it's a very different individual journey. But if your first year of salary is going to be about $35,000 and you graduate after 4 years of education with $100,000 worth of debt, you want to make sure that you are in tune to why was your debt $100,000? Did you choose a private college over attending maybe PCC and then going to a state university that would have reduced those costs by at least $40,000? Just really keep that in mind, because again, during college, the majority of your student loans, you don't have to start paying on until you graduate from college. But once you get that career and you start on your work, you will start paying on the student loans that you took out for this higher education. And it's the best investment you're ever going to give yourself. Just make sure that you're comparing and you're using these tools to see what is the best route for you in this journey for your higher education and for your future career. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here's back to the return of investment. Here is just a really good calculation. Here's your need for U of O is about $60,400 for 4 years, minus the starting salary as a social worker in the state of Oregon of $35,310. That equals $25,000 basically is your shortfall. So that means that $25,000 is going to be what your salary is not going to help cover. So you're still going to have all that student debt. But as you can see that starting salary, we're comparing that to the cost of your education. And then you have to take that into effect with your starting salary, what those student loans total. All right, let's go to the next slide. Do you have money stashed away? Are your parents contributing? Again, this is just a really great. Do you have any other family members? Some individuals do not have family members and they will rely solely on their own individual journey. Many of us do not have money set aside for college. So just so that most of you know, that is very common. And this, again, is why do not let that deter you. This is why you want to fill out that free application for student aid, because again, each journey is very individual. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, you may have to borrow. This is where you're going to know what you need to take out in student loans. So when we looked at the sticker price versus net price, and we've talked about what you're going to get in grant funds and or in scholarships. You have to apply for the scholarships if you want to receive scholarships. And again, those are the two funds that you do not need to pay back. You get grants and scholarships, you do not need to pay those back. For the money that you have to borrow, these will be the funds that you have to pay back. So this is where you want to leverage this debt. And I just love this slide. This is actually a slide that we had last week in Financing College. Money does not grow on trees. And you'll see that the little stick figure there has to get on that teeter-totter and have to have a weight to make sure that they can grab some of those funds. So the best investment that you can provide for yourself is a higher education, and typically that does cost money, and that's why we're talking about comparing schools and cost, so that you can have the most leverage possible. All right, let's go to the next slide. All right, now we're going to talk about how do I keep my debt low. All right, so these are really, really important. Keeping your living cost down. So this is very helpful. If you are able to live at home, if you are in that type of a situation, if you have people that you can be roommates with, that is going to be the first best place that you can start, because it costs a lot of money to live outside of the home. There are some people, again, that have different life journeys that may not have family or guardians that are able to participate and be in assistance of this. So this would be something that would be really great if you're going into college, applying for work study. The work study, again, is when you can have a job on campus, and that's how they pay you. They will give you funds, you work on campus, and then those funds go towards your cost of living. And then going into your sophomore, junior, and senior year, you could be an RA, which is a residence aide, and you are able to live in the dorm. You are there to help people that are living in the dorms, making sure that, when it's 10 o'clock, that everyone's quiet, doing some fun activities for the people that live there when they're first moving in. So that is a really great option. I did not have enough people that talked about this when I was younger, but that is just a really great option for you, is being an RA. Saving on books and supplies. Look at used books online. This is so common. Amazon has used books. Borrow books from the library, share books and supplies with friends. If you're taking the same major in the same year, but you're taking classes at different times, that might be a really great time. Or you could use your social media. Maybe in that particular, does anyone have a book where I could purchase from them? I'm not kidding. It's really great. All these different resources and platforms that we have now, so that you can get reduced costs on many things that you need. Working during your breaks, spring break, Christmas break, summer break. If you are going to be going to school at a university and you're going to live on campus, one thing that's really great, I really love this. I'll use, again, David Douglas as a great example. David Douglas High School, one of the classes that you can take is entrepreneurship. Well, one of the businesses that they run out of the high school is Dee's Cafe, and that is their coffee shop. So these students have the opportunity to work in the school's coffee shop and produce revenue, get the experience to make the drinks, get the experience to order what is needed, get the experience to make sure that they have enough people on shift, so that while they are still in college or still in high school, with this experience, you're able to see that these high school students are getting jobs at, in Oregon, we have Dutch Bros, or we have our local little Coffee's Time or Starbucks. But this is normally, these are jobs that are set aside for people that are in college or a little bit older. So this experience within the high school lets you get these jobs. Starbucks, if you work at Starbucks and you are going to go to school in a different state, They are really great about relocating you, and you can work with the same organization throughout your schooling. Same with Dutch Bros. I know that here in our local Oregon, they are a really great contributor towards younger adults that are going to school and not going to school. So keep that in mind, and keep that in mind when you are taking classes in high school. Can you get the skills and the training so that when you're going to college, if you're going to go into the medical field, is there something that you can do in that area? Start saving now. Make sure that you're getting in the habit of saving money and budgeting. If you are currently in high school, or if you are a guardian or a parent of a student that will be attending college in the next 2 to 4 years, start having the conversation and sitting down together and looking at savings and budgeting. It's going to be really, really important. And not only that, but the great thing about budgeting is that budgeting changes all the time. Budgeting can change weekly, budgeting can change monthly. It's just something that we do. And budgeting, again, is taking the income that you have minus the outgoing debt. And then that gives you whether at the end of the month you have a surplus or shortfall. Live like a poor college student. All right, so I'm going to throw these ones out. If you are someone that is in the habit of spending $5 on, and I'm going to pick on the coffee, but if you are a student, I always found it so interesting that students that didn't have a job would buy at least 3 coffees a week. And if they purchased a mocha at $5 each, that's about $15. How do you support, $60 a month when you don't have a job? So I ask that when I go out to the high schools, and we'd all have a really good laugh on that one. But this would be where you would want to stop that habit, or go get a job at a coffee place if you love having that coffee. This is where if you buy instant coffee, you make your coffee at home, maybe get some of those sugar-free flavors so you have those. Top ramen, that's always the joke, but I'm just going to say it doesn't matter how old I get, I still love top ramen. Ramen instead of food carts. Another really good thing is that when you talk about budgeting and savings, compare shopping. Compare where you go grocery shopping. That is really important. If you're buying the same product, if you're someone that loves to make yourself chicken rice bowls, compare the price of a can of black beans at the different grocery stores in your areas. If you buy a brand name versus a store name, is it going to be a little bit cheaper? Are you going to save more money? But you want to start checking into that. Riding your bike or taking the bus instead of a car. So something I really think that is really valuable is that if you are going to be going to school and you're going to go to whether it's a community college or a university, check and see how long it's going to take you to get there on the bus or on the light rail. I highly suggest if you can take public transportation. I highly suggest if you can get a job on campus, because then all of your eggs, in this particular case, it would be kind of good to have your eggs in one basket. If you work on campus and your classes are spread out, you're just there for the day. And the reason that we're talking about a bike or a bus is because a car can have such high expenses with car insurance, gas, maintenance, whether you have to get tires. A car is absolutely wonderful to have, but it might help keep your debt lower. Even if you have a car, would it be in your best interest to take the bus or ride your bike to the university? If you're in the trades, if you're going to pursue the trades or a career college, you will probably be in a little bit different boat. But even talking about the trades, make sure that if you're pursuing the trades, that you get a car that has great gas mileage, because oftentimes people that are electricians or construction or manufacturing, when they're working on job sites, they're traveling all over. And if you have a car that gets 50 miles to the gallon, that is really going to be in your best interest if you have to drive to Salem Monday through Friday for your job over a Ford 350 truck that's lifted. You might get 10 miles to the gallon. So these are really important things to consider when you are looking at your career plan for after high school, or even going back to college. We know that when we get into the workforce and we're going to go back to college, we have to reevaluate our budget and savings and expenses. All right, next slide. All right, options to save. Okay, this is really great. So we talked about this earlier, and we touched bases on this last week when we did financing college. So here are some great options to save. If you attend a community college for the first 2 years, you are in a great position to save about $16,426. If you work during breaks and or school, you are in the position to save about $10,000. You can save on books at least $800 for the school year by using purchasing used books, or renting them. 1 year paid internship. If you're able to get a paid internship while you are attending school, that could help save you at least $2,000. Something that's not on here, because again, there's not a lot of an RA, that's a residence aid, that can save you up to $8,000 or $9,000 if you need to live on campus. That's a really valuable tool. They don't have as many positions for RAs, but keep that in mind as well. All right, next slide. All right, do the math. So here's a really easy breakdown of the cost of school. And, once you have your little breakdown of the credits that you get. So the amount for the university, $60,400. Working during breaks, that's going to probably give you a total amount of, I believe it says 16,000. Be an RA for 1 year. So on this particular slide, it shows a savings of about $10,722. And again, each university is going to be different, but we're basing this off the University of Oregon. And then save on books by buying them used or renting them. And you, in your savings, will equal $32,878. So that debt is less than your first year salary. All right, let's go to the next slide. We have about 5 minutes here. I love this one. Calculate your student loan payment. We talked about calculating your sticker price versus your net price. This is the next best one that you need to calculate. You need to understand the student loans that you are taking out and how it will affect your future life. Most of us don't fully understand things until we walk in other people's shoes. So it's not until you see, if you've never had a loan, to the magnitude of paying back $350 every month, the salary is great, but you want to make sure that you are planning ahead for when you graduate. And this is why you want to calculate your student loan. So if you go to www.finaid.org/calculators/loan payments, that's going to take you there. This is a great tool. And this lets you plug in your loan balance, the interest rate, the loan term, and the minimum payment. So for a bachelor's degree, this presentation really sums it all up, but I'm just going to let you know, based off of a $32,878 loan at 6.8% interest and paying it off in 10 years, that is going to be about $378.36 a month for 10 years you would be paying. And that's if you pay the minimum. So you always want to have a plan. Whenever you have debt, always have a repayment plan. How am I going to pay this back? And if you could ever pay more, always pay more. There is nothing better than investing in yourself with student loans. Just make sure that you are using these tools to make sure that your journey is maximizing the experience and not maximizing your dollar. All right, let's go to the next slide. So this is how it affects your future life. How does this factor into my post-college budget? So once you graduate, once you have your career, this is going to be part of your living budget, your month-to-month budget. Your student loan may take up 13% of that income. Your taxes, they're going to take taxes out of your paycheck. Housing is typically 30%. And then that leaves you 32% for any other debt, bills, or living expenses you have, including food, any credit cards, gym memberships. So that's why it's really important to see how that student debt is going to factor into your future life, and why you want to compare the schools and compare the cost to finance your education. All right, let's go to the next slide. So here's our review. The review is, you've got a couple key areas here. Know the total cost of school before you apply. Know your future salary. Calculate your return of investment. Keep your debt low and make sure that that debt is below your starting salary. Make sure that you calculate your student loan repayment. You want to make sure that you understand how the loan debt that you take is going to affect your future, and even the how you pursue your college. And that's why when we looked at that first graph on the occupation, if you know that you want to go into a trade, or you have a certain career where they have a career school for it, it's a fabulous opportunity. I think also the other thing was the first graph from the Bureau of Labor also let us see, based off different education, what are the outcomes of unemployment. So that's also really great. All right, one more slide, and I think that completes our time. All right, so I'm hoping that you walk away with knowing how to research average salaries based upon your education and specific career aspirations, knowing how to calculate the total cost of school and the difference between the sticker price and the net price, understanding how to compare total post-secondary expenses versus your out-of-school annual salary, and calculating the return on your investment.